I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'm getting, just as so you know, St. Tammany Parish is reporting, and again, this is mainly rural, but Highway 1088 and Highway 36 is impassable due to downed trees and debris. That is from the tornado that moved in off the lake earlier around Big Branch. So impassable Highway 36 at 1088 due to trees and debris, according to fire dispatch in St. Tammany Parish. That's the latest on that. What you're looking at here on Viper is our rotation path, all right? And where you see the yellow, that's intense. The green is weaker, and I've kind of isolated it. And you can see there's ARABI, and let's come in even a little bit close. Well, first of all, let me widen this out just a bit. And you can see, remember I came on the air with you guys, and we started seeing this circulation near Lafitte, and it got stronger and it moved across the West Bank, and a Viper is confirming. I remember we heard windows blown out in Jefferson Parish and Gretna. There's Harvey, Marrero, Gretna. So the tornado was on the ground there, and then it likely moved in this location across Algiers. I have not heard anything about damage in Algiers. I didn't hear if Colin said anything about that. There's the Holy Cross neighborhood. Here's the lower 9th Ward. And then there is Chalmette, and then here's ARABI, right? So ARABI is right there, Holy Cross, lower 9th. We know there is extreme damage in this particular area, and we can confirm that with our rotation tracker. Then we followed the storm into the east. Now, one thing to note, we haven't heard much, but if you look here, there's Lake Forest, and there you see, there's Old Gentilly Road, Almonaster Avenue, and then you have Chef on the other side of that. Notice that we kind of lose that strong rotation tracker as it moved over the east. So I'm not saying there's not damage there because we don't know, but we didn't get as strong of a signature. Then it started to increase again once it got over the twin spans and then moved toward Eden Isles. And again, we have not heard of anything in southeastern St. Tammany Parish right now in the Slidell area if there was any damage reported there. And then the tornado warning that's still ongoing in Pearl River County, we kind of see that the circulation is weakening to the east of Interstate 59. Let me go ahead and just, while we have this up, I want to go ahead and get the latest radar look on that storm. Again, that looks like it is continuing to weaken as it pushes well to the east of Picayune. So good news there tonight is it looks like the severe weather threat is ending across southeast Louisiana. I'm watching you, Plaquemines Parish. We still got some strong storms there. We're still watching Hancock. All right, we have storms west of Bay St. Louis, and maybe a little bit of a notch still showing up to the south and west of Catahoula there. But overall, it's over rural areas of Hancock County if there is still any kind of a weak circulation there. But the big story, obviously, is the damage that has occurred in Orleans and St. Bernard, and as well as parts of Jefferson Parish tonight. And we can see that very clearly with our shear path showing up on Viper. The other, let me go ahead and again isolate the strongest portion of that. And that's the tornado through the New Orleans area. And then here was showing even stronger rotation. This was the tornado that formed over the causeway and then moved across a Big Branch between Lacombe and Mandeville. And remember, I just said at Highway 1088 and Highway 36 is impassable due to the fact that there's debris everywhere. Well, this is a very strong rotation. This was obviously a tornado cutting all the way deep into St. Tammany Parish, and then the circulation weakened as it got to Tallahassee and then moved across the Pearl River. So this kind of gives you an idea. If you widen this out, that was our 2 tornadoes tonight. There was also another storm a little while ago that had some pretty good rotation, but it looks like that did not tornado. But this is the tornado that started south of the West Bank, below there near Lafitte, cut across the city, and then weakening over St. Tammany Parish, and then the second tornado tonight, which, thank goodness, largely stayed over rural areas. Shelley, let's go back over to you.
Okay, David, we have David Jones, Fox 8's David Jones, one of our reporters who is in St. Bernard Parish and joins us now live from ARABI. David?
Yeah. Hey, Shelley. So we're walking with first responders right now. They're actually going house by house and making sure that everyone inside is safe. So far, everyone appears to be safe, who we've seen and spoken with. I'll just shine my light over here. We can pan over and just show a bit of debris here, over there. You can see, wow, that house is, yeah, that's leveled. I don't know if it's a house or a shed or what. So we're coming up on Alexander Highway, or Alexander Ave, excuse me. Some water here. You can see what we're talking about when we say flooding, right? And not to drive through floods. So right now, all of this road around us, I mean, totally submerged. I see it. Steve, look, can we go over to that school bus right over there? You see what I'm talking about? I wish there was a way we could get closer. Maybe we can come up on the grass here and show. Wow. Yeah, so got a school bus on its side there.
No, it's just the top.
No, it's just the top? Okay. So it's just the top of the bus there on its side. If we pan over here to the left, we can see some damage in those homes right over there. Again, we're in ARABI, St. Bernard Parish. St. Bernard Parish deputies have actually been out here going house by house, kind of a search and rescue effort. But the area that we were in on St. Claude, I mean, like, just devastation. And we're gonna go back up there and bring you another live report here in a few minutes. But just total devastation there. So we're gonna track the path and see what we can find. But for now, we're live in ARABI. David Jones, Fox 8, Local First.
And I don't know if David could hear me, but I just reached out to some old friends in the ARABI area, and they said that they are okay, but that the St. Claude Heights area has seen significant damage. And so that might be what David is referring to there when he mentioned St. Claude, because obviously St. Claude Avenue runs through the lower 9th Ward, closer to the river, but there's St. Claude Heights in ARABI, a neighborhood as well. So if you're out there and you're listening, you're watching, and you know somebody that might have some pictures or images, obviously don't go out there and try to get it right now, but send that in to us, to the Fox 8 newsroom if you can. And we're going to go through those images as well. And here's some of that video. And this tornado, when you look at the width of it, I don't remember seeing anything like this in so long. David, when you look at these images, are these similar to what we saw in, was it 2017?
Yeah, the New Orleans East, the New Orleans East tornado was a large, I believe, multi-vortex tornado in EF3. That was the largest tornado on record to hit Orleans Parish. And so this one's going to be right up there. I have no doubt about it. Looking, and I saw a picture of it earlier when it was even larger than that, and you could see that's one image there. On a couple of them, you can see what looks like other little tornadoes rotating around the large funnel, and that's what we mean multi-vortex, multiple spinning areas around the larger tornado, and these are the ones that cause the most damage. It's almost like they're almost like tentacles, and they're kind of lashing out with like individual areas of even more intense wind that might be going around the main circulation of the tornado. So that's what's likely caused the most damage tonight. When I look at the rotation path on Viper, because of the tilt of the radar and the mapping, it looks like the strongest rotation was over Algiers, but it's probably displaced about a quarter of a mile too far to the west, at least based on what we're hearing as far as damage goes. So that's probably why it's not chiming exactly with what I'm seeing on radar here, that the worst of this, the tornado went over ARABI and just kind of skimmed past right along the parish line. Really, basically, it looks like the way this thing probably tracked from what we're seeing.
And when we talked to Colin Arnold with New Orleans Emergency Operations, he said as far as they could tell at this point from NOPD early reports, going to the lower 9th Ward, which is right next door to ARABI, while they have 8,000 people without power, I mean, just power outages widespread, they did not, there was no observable damage, or the words that he used, in the lower 9th Ward. And I think Bruce wants to chime in here as we're talking about this. Bruce?
Yeah, if we can pull up Max 2 from the control room upstairs, take a look at these pictures getting in. I'm kind of doing the social media side of it. If we can pull up Max 2 right now, take a look at this, David. Look at this car that's turned upside down.
Yeah.
And look at the devastation of the buildings around it. EF3, EF4, as you mentioned, this is going to be one of the big ones that we may actually, in terms of strength, from that 17 tornado. Here's one more picture, David. I'm going to put this in as well, and you can see car overturned, but I mean, look at the structure damage. That's a roof sitting next door to an actual home on the ground. So this is just a magnificent.
And of course, you need forensic specialists to come in here, that are used to looking at wind damage, but we've seen enough of this, and that is certainly EF2 damage. And probably EF3.
Yeah.
EF2 or possibly on EF3 damage.
And what makes it an EF3, David? At what point does it become an EF3? Is it the strength of the winds?
I'm going to pull
Yes.
up a graphic, David.
Oh, you have that over there?
I'll pull it up.
Okay,
I'll
we're going
it
to pull that up on Max 2.
2.
That's what I was trying to get to, Shelley,
Yeah.
that you were asking to give you some perspective. The New Orleans East tornado, again, was an EF3. I'm trying to remember. I think the winds were around 120 or 125 miles per hour with that particular storm when it went through. But, I mean, clearly, this is large tornado damage that we're seeing based on my years of experience of looking at these particular storms, of looking at tornadoes, I should say. I do want to just update everybody. There are no warnings. All warnings for Mississippi have expired. All warnings for Louisiana. There are no tornado warnings in effect right now. So there is the scale. So yeah, 136. The New Orleans East tornado was on, if you want to call it, the low end of the EF3 scale. As I recall, I had winds around 135 to 140 miles per hour. Certainly, I think we're seeing EF2 damage based on just those preliminary photos that we're seeing tonight, and the fact that cars have been tossed around like toys and are upside down, and we have some homes that have been completely destroyed.
And David, can you guys hear me? Hello, hello? Yeah, I was just going to tell you that the St. Bernard Parish President, Guy McGinnis, we have an interview with him that was taken just a short time ago. So let's go ahead and listen to that.
We have widespread damage here in St. Bernard Parish. The fire department and sheriff's department are going through and doing search and rescue. We still have some places we need to get to and getting reports. So until we get a full assessment, we won't really know. But all of our people out there working very hard to make sure that our community is safe. No major injuries at this time.
And you guys are busing residents to the Civic Center?
We're setting up a staging area. We're contacting John Ram, a Homeland Security guy. He's already set up. We're going to stage somewhere along Center Street or in ARABI. We will pick people up and bring them to a shelter that have been affected by the storm.
Okay. Yeah, and that was Guy McGinnis, the St. Bernard Parish President, speaking obviously very early on in this situation, this devastating event that has happened tonight with a major tornado touching down.
Get that off. We're on the wrong source there. Go back to Max 1. I don't know where that's coming from, but we need to, okay, that's, hold on a minute, that's not good. So let me fix that real quick. Okay, there are no tornado warnings in effect. That is, what you're looking at there is, again, the rotation path as the storm moved from the West Bank through St. Bernard Parish. Sorry, Shelley, I just needed to correct it. I had a bad graphic on the air.
Yeah, so Guy McGinnis, the St. Bernard Parish President, was talking about how they have set up a staging area right near Center Street in ARABI, and the parish, emergency rescue people will be busing people to the Civic Center, people who need to be. At this point, he says no word of any major injuries, but this is still very early on, and you can see that some structures, homes, businesses have been leveled, especially when we look in these images right here. And Rhonda, our producer, who are we going to next now? Okay, so Fox 8's Rob Masson is on the North Shore. He's been driving around in the Lacombe area, and he joins us now live by phone. Rob?
Hey, Shelley, we've been watching the reports. David was tracking that waterspout on the lake that appeared to be moving in toward the Big Branch area, just a little bit west of Lacombe, up toward Pearl River. We can tell you we saw some tree damage along I-12, just a little bit west of Lacombe, but the interstate is perfectly passable. I'm now driving through an area west of Lacombe, and it looks like a very large portion of this part of St. Tammany between Lacombe and Mandeville is without power at this hour. Been checking with friends and sources in this area. They say they've not seen any damage. The St. Tammany Sheriff's Office has deputies out looking for damage. They have found some trees down along Highway 36, a little bit east of Avita Springs. And as I said, there's some tree damage along Interstate 12 just a little bit west of Lacombe, but the interstate is passable. There are no reports of injuries at this point, but it looks like several hundred people are without power from that storm system that moved through here probably about 45 minutes ago. Again, deputies are out looking for damage. We do not have any reports of any serious damage or injuries at this point, just some tree damage along Interstate 12 and along Highway 36, Shelley.
Thanks so much, Rob, for that report, and please stay safe out there. As you heard him say, several hundred power outages in the Lacombe area. Amanda Roberts, we saw David Jones in ARABI a little while ago. Amanda Roberts is also in the ARABI area in St. Bernard Parish, and she now joins us live. Amanda, can you tell us where you are and what you're seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. We're here at Benjamin and Patricia Street right here in ARABI, and all of the power is out. It is just incredibly dark right now. People are starting to come out of their homes. This is the home behind us here, pretty much devastated here. You can tell we are looking into the kitchen, it looks like, but I was speaking with the folks earlier, and you all have a pretty incredible story of survival. Do I understand that this is your house, sir?
My house, yes.
How are you feeling?
I'm glad my son is alive. Yeah.
And, can you tell me what happened?
Well, my son's mother had called, and of course I had walked to what was the the side door, and I'd opened the door, and I grew up in Tennessee. I'm from Tennessee, and I knew that it got very quiet, and then it was raining and it stopped, and I knew that's time. So I shut the door, and he was sitting on the couch, and anyway, so I told him to put the iPad down, and then we left and ran down the hallway, and I could hear it so loud, and then I was talking to my ex-wife. She was on the phone. I told her to be quiet, and this is a firewall. The stove was there. There on the backside was a big, large master bathroom, and then when there's a small bathroom in there where just the toilet was, and we went in there, and when it hit, I could feel it, and then it went to pull me. My feet started coming off the ground, and I pushed my son down, and then it was gone, and my feet hit the ground again. So
you were lifted up into the air.
Just a little bit, yeah, just a little bit, because it caused the vortex, the vortex from it to pull me out, because we were enclosed by walls. It's only 2 feet by 2 feet in this small. It's just a small bathroom.
Water closet.
Yeah, water closet. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Were you just holding on to your son?
Yeah, I was sheltering him. I had him underneath me. Yeah, I was cowering over him. I'm a pretty big guy, so.
But there is a lot of debris that if you were in that water closet.
If I had gone, what you can't see is that you have to understand the frame and structure around it, and the firewall right here. That's what protected us, because it came from this way, and that's the guest bathroom. Had I gone in there, if you go and look at the front of it, there's a hitch sticking through the front wall of it into that room, into that bathroom.
Looking at this now, going through what you all have gone through, did you need help getting taken out, being rescued?
Oh yeah, my neighbor across the street, the gentleman right across over there, and then St. Bernard Sheriff's deputies helped us out.
What was that like?
We couldn't get out.
What was that like?
I just wanted my son out, because you see the power lines, they go over the top. In other words, that bathroom is straight up, and those power lines cover the door and everything getting out of it, because it's only as big as this block of concrete right there. That's how big it is. So, yeah.
All this debris to the left.
That's where it went.
The
rest of the house. And then it goes. There's my car, and then this gentleman's house. That was a 2-story house, and how we know he's not there is his car's not there. If it would have been there, because he had a garage that he pulled into, when he was home, and if his car was there, he wouldn't be there. I wouldn't think he'd have made it through that, because his house is gone. No, that was a 2-story, probably a 5,000 square foot house that was right there.
So you're telling me we haven't seen this house? It's essentially gone.
Gone, completely gone. It's completely gone to the ground, to the structure. And it was probably it was 2-story, maybe 3, and at least 5,000 square feet, had to be.
What do you think of all of this?
Well, I grew up in Tennessee. I'm used to that. I thought I would come down here and get taken out by a hurricane, but apparently not. So I'm just glad my son. Still kind of losing shock, I think, a little bit.
So I think, were you going through the pieces, trying to find what you could?
Yeah, I just don't know what to think of it, you know.
And tell me your name, sir.
My name's Jason Dickinson, yeah.
All right.
Do you recall what time this was?
Oh, man, I could look at my phone and tell you. But no. My house burned when I was 10 years old, yeah, on the 4th of July. And it was a historic home, and it burned to the ground, and we lost everything. And that's kind of how I feel at this moment, so.
Anything else, Jason, you wanted to add?
I hope everybody else is all right. You know, things can be replaced, houses can be rebuilt. People can't. So, and I'm in the funeral business of all things too. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're safe. I'm glad your son is safe. But yeah, we got a lot ahead of us.
Everyone else is too, because we still don't know yet. You know, obviously.
That's right. We're thankful that your neighbor wasn't home when this happened.
I hope he's not. If his car's not there, then it's yeah. And they're still. You can tell they're still going through the debris over behind the shed, because that was an entire. If you can imagine not being able to see that house at all, you know, and standing from this perspective you could, but if you were standing, you couldn't see that house. That's how big his house was.
Is this your truck over here?
That's my truck right there.
Can you walk us over there and just show it to us?
Sure.
Just be careful.
Ronnie can
Watch
see
your
us.
step. There's nails in that.
Rodney Newmeyer is watching us. He just called me. Yeah.
So this is just a huge, large debris field that we're just starting to look at here at Benjamin and Patricia in ARABI. And Mr. Jason, you said that this is your car that was just...
Yeah, that's my car. Yep.
It's pretty incredible just looking at all of this. And we're looking at all of this in the dark, so keep in mind that we haven't seen really the extent of all of this damage just yet.
No, and I would say that my car is actually... The only reason it's probably still there is because of the post. There's a metal post behind it that it's actually sitting on that probably kept it from floating away. Because when it hit, I mean, it was so fast. It was just, I mean, it was like a freight train, and I could feel the house shaking, and it was just, and I remember my son looking up at me, and I just told him, I said, put your face down and keep down no matter what happens.
About how much time do you think that was between...
It was in a matter, it wasn't even 2 minutes. I mean, well, from the house shaking, probably 3 or 4 minutes. But when it hit and it happened, seconds. 15, 20 seconds maybe. And that was it. That's how violent that is.
And how is your son doing?
He's shaking up, but he goes, where do we... He said, what are we going to do for snacks? What are we going to do for
They
snacks?
were out of Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah.
He's thinking of the important things. Yes.
Yeah, he wanted to know where they were going to eat. That's what he said.
Well, that's why we're looking through this stuff, maybe to find some snacks at least.
There's a pizza.
Oh, wow. I didn't even notice that till now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just start to look at piece by piece after all of this storm.
So it is. It's my brother. My dining room table. My brother made for me. His name's Clint Dickinson, and it was Amish grade. And those are the legs, those white legs you see. And it was made, and there's no metal in it, and it could withstand like 1,600 pounds of pressure on each corner. And he lives in Tennessee. He's an incredible carpenter, and it's gone. And Brandy gave me the chairs. There's one chair. Brandy,
I know I saw a chair somewhere else,
yeah.
too.
So
Family gifted chair.
Brandy's like the Joanna Gaines, Black Dog. There you go. Black Dog remodeling.
Is this the roof of your house, what we're seeing right
I
here?
think so.
The attic, though.
Attic, yeah.
So that looks like it's the attic. That's all caught in the tree.
There's my Christmas tree up there.
We're spotting a Christmas tree up in there.
And that's a pine tree that stood in the front, and there's no telling how tall. I mean, it towered above my house, and that's what. Yeah.
So it kind of just peeled your house away.
It did. It took. I mean, obviously, when it came right through here, you know, the funny thing is the way they turn. If it came from that direction, what doesn't make any sense is how it must have hooked around me when it snagged my house, and then because the path had to have gone straight over his.
Y'all at my house?
Had to.
You think the path of the tornado crossed right over your house?
There's no. It
through that field right there.
Came through that field, and when it did, it hooked around. When it hit my house, it hooked around because When I tell you, you couldn't see that house or any of those homes on the other side. That's how big his house was. And it's leveled. There's nothing there.
So if that tornado did hook, I mean, I know we've talked about how lucky and fortunate you are because the place that you were hiding was a safe spot for you.
Yeah.
And if that tornado hooked just right around your house, it crossed your mind how even more lucky you were to survive
Let me
that?
tell you something. The good Lord was definitely, there's no doubt. Because I almost went to, and I just knew that, where I grew up, and you just go to the smallest room in the house, even if it's a closet in the middle, where you have the 4 structures around you, and that's where you go. Bathtub's not always the best place, folks. So, because otherwise we wouldn't be here.
No. Well, I'm sure your family is really thankful.
Yes.
Were you worried for them this whole time?
Yeah, we got over here quick. We made it through the cops, ran through power lines. When I walked up to their block, I didn't even recognize the neighborhood. I didn't know where I was because everything was gone. It's scary, really scary.
Driving up here, did you know that they were okay, or were you just?
Yeah, I knew that they had made it, and I didn't know that they were. Yeah, I didn't know that they were out of the house yet. They had to get pulled out, so I knew they were trapped in there, and I didn't know how they made it. I mean, everything's gone except for the middle wall in the house.
Yeah.
It scared the hell out of me.
Goodness. Anything else you all wanted to add?
No.
All right. So it's just a really incredible scene, incredible stories right now as we're really just trying to figure out, picking up the pieces. People are literally just combing through houses right here. And it seems like we're getting moved to another location because there might be a natural gas leak. So, hey, Tommy, we want to back up. Everyone's telling us to back up here. It seems like there's might be a natural gas leak. I know there's a lot of power lines down. So this is still an emergency and evolving situation here after a tornado seems to have touched down here in ARABI. All right, with that, we'll send it back to you.
Hello. All right. So much, Amanda. I just wanted to see if you're able to stick with us, Amanda. I wanted to talk about exactly where you are in ARABI. So I was looking at the map, and when you're driving in from Orleans, you pass the Jackson Barracks, which is where the National Guard is located, and this looks like it's right past that area. When you were driving in, describe what it was like when you crossed the Industrial Canal into the lower 9th Ward to get into St. Bernard. Explain what you saw driving in.
It was just darkness. We could just tell that this was the place where the storm had touched down because of how dark it was. There is a large traffic problem. A lot of people are trying to get out from homes that we have just kind of shown you of the damage that people have survived and houses that have sustained all of this damage. So there are some people who are trying to get to safe places. So I know we tell everyone to stay off the road in these cases, but there is a wire down just right here. I could touch it if I really wanted to. We've had to try and we've been telling our crews, people have been, telling us to beware of that wire. There might be a natural gas leak, but it is just darkness right now. I know that there are crews working to, evaluate power lines and the light situation here, but there is just so much debris. Really, the only way that I can describe it is just darkness. There are first responders, police lights that are dotting away as we came into ARABI. But really, that's the only light from vehicles that are trying to travel in and travel out, this is why in these emergency situations, we always encourage people, this isn't the time to get out of your car and see what's happened here. This is the time for first responders to tend to the situation, gas leaks, to try and address these really dangerous power lines that are down, and help this community rebuild. We're just in the beginning stages of really starting to see how extensive this damage is. This home, again, we're here at Benjamin and Patricia Street. This home was nearly entirely demolished. Just next door, he says, his house was entirely demolished. So with these...
Okay, we may have lost Amanda there.
Just like a specific line through a parish or
All right, we've been listening to Amanda Roberts, who's live for us in ARABI, and I just want to kind of give some people who are watching some perspective on where we're talking about. So when you drive through the lower 9th Ward and then you enter St. Bernard Parish, ARABI is right there. Actually went to grammar school in that neighborhood where Amanda is right now, St. Louise de Marillac. And that neighborhood is Patricia Street and Benjamin off of Judge Perez Drive near Alexander. Also hearing from some people who live in the area who say there are some people missing or they just cannot get a hold of them right now. So a lot of people wondering about their friends, their loved ones, their relatives. And we heard that there is a staging area set up at Center Street in ARABI that is busing. The parish is actually busing residents who need shelter at this time, who've lost a lot, to the Civic Center in Chalmette. David Jones is also in the ARABI area, and we checked in with him a little while ago. We want to check back in with him now to see what's the latest in the area where he is.
Yeah, Shelley, I heard you say that they were busing residents to Chalmette from Center Street and St. Claude. We're actually just down from St. Claude, closer to Orleans. And I was hearing something about the tornado path, maybe going along St. Claude. That might have been a thought. I could definitely see that damage coming in. So I'm going to give you a bit of a picture, and we'll walk and talk here, but I'll start off with showing you Bayou Barbell. This is a gym that was destroyed. I mean, you can see like the glass is shattered. I'll shine my light there. Hopefully that can help a little bit. And WVUE's Fox 8's reporter Olivia Vidal, her uncle was actually in Bayou Barbell at the time. And while he was inside, he texted her and said, my whole gym is destroyed. The roof caved in. 3 of the walls collapsed. We were all huddled in the back tool room. Everybody's still shaking. The glass blew out the front of the business. There's glass everywhere. The whole roof is laying on top. All the equipment, the whole area got destroyed. So now we're looking over. This is going east on St. Claude. You can see responders, I mean, they have a monumental task ahead of them. But right now responders have set up that area, and then they've actually blocked off the entirety of St. Claude on both sides. So we're going to do a little bit of a walk and talk here. I can show you some of the debris we've been seeing. Down power lines everywhere on the ground, suspended in the air. I don't know if you could make that out or not. You can see that the entirety of St. Bernard Parish, responders are out here. Firefighters putting on their gear, taking it off. We've seen search and rescue teams going through the different houses, checking to make sure that everybody's okay. Steve, can we pan over here to this house? I don't know if you could pick that up or not. You can see the entirety of this house. I mean, just like the entire side portion of this house, I should say, just demolished. I mean, wrecked. This damage is huge. Thankfully, first responders, we were walking with them a little bit earlier, and they actually checked on the resident of that house. He gave them the thumbs up, said everything was okay. Let's walk a little bit over toward here so you can see this is what we're talking about. This is what we're dealing with. Power lines on the ground, power poles completely collapsed from the wind. We're going to do our best here, step over this wire. We don't know if it's live or not. And again, just power lines everywhere. Down and right up there on the corner of St. Claude, and I want to say that's maybe LeBeau. I think that's LeBeau. That's where we've seen a lot of damage. This antique store that was over there looked like it was completely destroyed. I mean, it was barely standing. Wow. This speaks for itself. This really does. You can see that pile of debris over there on the corner. Friscoville. That was it. So we're walking right in front of this building right now, going toward Friscoville and St. Claude. Just doing my best to step carefully here because we're trying to avoid anything on the ground. I mean, wow. This is crazy. You can see that wire on the ground right there. Again, I was saying this a little bit earlier, but first responders, anyone coming out here to rescue people, to clean up in the aftermath of the storm, they're really going to have a monumental task ahead of them.